Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Friday the 10th of March 2023, end of the week. Every afternoon we've got the 5 stories that happened today that you need to know about. Story number 1. It's a very tough day on the market with the S&P ASX 200 finishing down 2.3% to 7,145 points. Close to 90% of stocks fell today after the big sell-off on Wall Street overnight. The market was led lower by energy, materials and financials companies. It fell at the opening and then just kept going. Starting with the banks, no good news there, with the Big Four and Macquarie Group all off more than 3%. Same deal with the big energy companies Woodside and Santos. BHP, Fortescue Metals and Rio were also down close to 3% respectively. The worst performing sector was probably the lithium stocks, with the price of the metal hitting a 1-year low. Allkem was the worst of all, down nearly 9% today. Now, the best performers were the defensive stocks. CSL was down only 1.4%. Telstra, Wesfarmers, Woolworths and Coles, all defensive companies. They went backwards, but by less than 1%, which today was a good performance. Only one of the top 20 companies, Transurban, ended the day higher, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. The gold companies also bucked the trend, with Evolution Mining, Northern Star, Gold Road Resources and market leader Newcrest all in the black by the end of the day. The best for the session was Origin Energy, up 2.5%. Story number 2, China says Australia's deal to buy US and British-designed nuclear-powered submarines to be announced on Monday is a serious nuclear proliferation risk in its first official response to details of the AUKUS security agreement, which emerged yesterday. China's foreign ministry said the deal had been opposed by regional countries and the wider international community. Now, early next week, Australia will formally announce the acquisition of 5 nuclear-powered Virginia-class submarines until purpose-built vessels combining British design and US technology are delivered. Following the speculation, Chinese Premier Xi Jinping said China must maximise its national strategic capabilities in a bid to systematically upgrade the country's overall strength to cope with strategic risks, safeguard strategic interests and realise strategic objectives. Also today, Xi was officially awarded a third 5-year term as President of China. Story number 3 is also a geopolitical one. India will step up its participation in joint military exercises with Australia after being elevated to a top-tier security partner. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese was given the honour of being the first foreign leader to inspect the Indian Navy's first locally built aircraft carrier, and afterwards, Albanese revealed that India would participate this year for the first time in the Australian Defence Force's flagship War Games. He also confirmed that Australia will host this year's iteration of the Indian Navy's major drills off the Western Australia coast. It will be the first time it will do so and involves the US and Japanese military. Mr. Albanese said military exercises between Australia and India were becoming increasingly complex, an indication of deeper ties. He said the partnership was of increasing strategic importance as we navigate the challenges of our region together. Story number 4, toll road giant Transurban has abandoned a $9 billion project to upgrade expressways in Maryland on the US East Coast, blaming delays on environmental approvals. It's the cost of focusing on the environment, delays to major not-so-green projects. Transurban said it had negotiated with the Maryland Department of Transportation in good faith, but the project continues to face challenges, including significant delays to environmental approvals, a changing political landscape, and unresolved environmental lawsuits. The AXE project was set to involve high-occupancy toll lanes totaling 60 kilometres. It was expected to be one of the largest public-private partnerships in the US. Investors liked the fact that Transurban abandoned the project and its share price rose. Finally, story number 5, it was a rough night on Wall Street, with the broad-based S&P 500 and tech-heavy Nasdaq both down nearly 2%. Banks led the market lower, with an index of financials falling nearly 8%. Now, that's the biggest one-day drop since June 2020. That's all about fears of higher interest rates. Weekly applications for US unemployment claims rose last week to their highest level since December, a sign of some softening in the labour market, though at least part of the rise was linked to harsh winter weather. Tonight, February payrolls are due for release. That's a big one and could well dictate how our market performs early next week. That's it for the afternoon report for Friday, the 10th of March, 2023. Don't forget to hit follow on the podcast and find Fear and Greed on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Join Michael Thompson and I tomorrow morning for the Weekend Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your evening.